I don't enjoy it as much.
But again, is it an India problem though? Do
No,
you
I
think
don't
this
think
will be
it's an India problem. Why do you say it's an India problem?
A master's degree in the Indian context, at least, it's a neutralizer or like a anti-handicap for average and mediocre people.
Yeah, they all go to the same college, they all work at the same company.
If you want to meet someone who's highly intellectual, if you think you are also highly intellectual, I think just going to that room, I think you should do an MBA just to get the opportunity.
Things haven't really changed from when I graduated, or for that matter, when any of you graduated. I don't
I think
feel
it's around the same time. So
I would like to
I don't know
differ
what
and
you are.
say
We are not that
How
old.
much-
This day school ended was the day I was really happy. It felt like jail to me, to be honest, right?
whatever Shankar said is the exact opposite for me.
Even if you take at Freshworks, people that Body and I know, at least 2 or 3 people within the marketing org, in fact, product marketing, who have actually gone on to study. Right? When you talk about moving abroad, one of the easiest pathways is, of course, pursuing a master's. I think that is the next topic that we want to cover. And here we have Body who has the master's. And I think Body will give a simple answer saying don't study masters. But we actually want to double click on it, understand the trade-offs. Masters or no masters?
Depends. It's a subjective answer. If you want to do it, do it. But it really depends on whether it'll add value or not. Like I don't
Yes,
think
often this stance
I
significantly.
no. So to be really honest, I don't think I gained a lot that I wouldn't have already gained. But like it depends on how you use those 2 years, right? So looking back, my master's experience was not bad. It was completely new. I learned a lot, all of that. But I think I could have learned the same, if not different, but still relevant things in those 2 years had I chosen to do something else. So again, mine was not an MBA, so I can't talk on behalf of an MBA. But in general, like my belief is a master's degree in the Indian context, at least, it's a neutralizer or like a anti-handicap for average and mediocre people. If you're already really good, you don't need it. If you're already really bad, it's not going to help. So it's the problem with India is this, right? Like your bell curve distribution is heavily skewed in the middle, right? So you have a lot of people who are very similar in terms of marks, grades, all attributes, all competencies taken. Everything is the same. So to stand out, this will help.
Yeah, they all go to the same college. They all work at the same company.
That's all. So if you think you're very bad or if you think you're very good, I would not recommend doing masters.
I think there are two kinds of people, in my view. Like people who like to go to college or university and study abstractions, write exams, and answer questions.
That itself is two different kinds of people, Shankar.
Huh?
That
Sorry,
itself
go-
is two different kinds of people. People who like to go to college and people who like to study abstractions.
Okay,
Not
your
the first
further
kind, not the
categorizing.
second.
Yeah, you're further categorizing. But my point is, and then there are people who like to do things in the real world, learn from it, and then iterate and learn, right, or do new things. That's how I see. And for a lot of people in the second bucket, probably university and school and colleges don't work. But for a lot of people in the first bucket, if getting that degree significantly changes the direction of your life, and I think it's worth it, right? So that's how I think about it. I for one cannot go back to university and study for 2 years or 3 years or whatever. I can't do that. But for a lot of people,
Why do you think so? Do you think you've lost that patience, or you feel you would learn a lot more
I
outside
think I never actually
college?
yeah, I think I never actually liked going to school or college. This day school ended was the day I was really happy. Really happy. Oh, my dad and mom were really happy. I was super happy. I was elated. It felt like jail to me, to be honest, right? You have to study things you don't like. You can't go and read things you like. I felt like I've always learned things by myself or read interesting things by myself. And school was putting me within four walls and not letting me do the things that I liked and making me do the things I really hated. And I really didn't enjoy learning. So for me, that wasn't a choice. So it's a I think it's a personality thing. Yeah. Plus plus in the real world, you get feedback, right? You put whether it's a piece of marketing, like a web page or like a product feature, or anything else that you're working on, you put it out there, see what works, you're learning from it, and then you're iterating, as opposed to tests that feel really fake, standardized, completely abstract. Like, I really hated working on engineering mechanics problems, for example. Maybe it's for a different kind of a person, or physics problem, for example, but that's just not me. Like, even MBA theoretical stuff, I don't think I would enjoy sitting overnight, right? Thinking about case studies, writing case studies I might enjoy, but thinking about case studies, hypothetical questions, I don't enjoy it as much.
But
But
again, is it an
yeah,
India problem though? Do
no,
you
I
think
don't
this
think
will
it's
be?
an India problem. Why do you say it's an India problem?
Yes, buddy.
Before
Yeah,
you change the topic, whatever Shankar said is the exact opposite for me. Like the day my school ended was like one of the saddest days for
very
me.
sad.
The day college started, also, I was not sure if I would ever like college as much as school, but college turned out to be even better. So it took me a while. It took me like
No,
a month or two. But
I think
so
body, you are just an exception to this. You just wherever
no,
you
no.
go, you
So,
make that place your home.
so that's the thing, right? So the thing is, in Shankar's example, like the real world versus tests and abstract stuff, like you're looking at the education system, you're ignoring the large student community around you. The student community that you study with, live with, is the real world in those 4 years
True.
or in those 15 years. So I think I learned a lot more interacting with that than with
Yeah.
taking tests and stuff, reading theory and all of that. So I think if you're able to do that when you're in school and college, it really benefits you. I mean,
I
I
think
genuinely think I benefited a lot from the people I met in school, the people I met in college, and the interactions I had with them and what I learned from that. More than anything else, I learned reading on a textbook or theoretically.
I think if the curriculum in school or college or university matches with what brings you to life, right? Then I think school, college, university is interesting. Like, some of my friends are doing like PhDs in topics around wastewater engineering. But that's what there's a college friend of mine, right? That's what he enjoys, and I think there's a lot of alignment between what he enjoys versus what he's studying or researching on. In my case, I don't know if there'll be a lot of alignment between what I enjoy and what I want to get better at versus like what colleges or universities may offer. So I
Okay.
think if there's a match, that's a great thing for people to go and like use colleges and university time for getting better. Yeah, probably that's like a better generalization.
So this is
One
why I specific.
significant I think there is
Sorry.
one significant factor that impacted me more. I think, and I think it's a common thing also. The number of good slash passionate teachers you have really impacts how well or how much you enjoy school or college or learning in those environments. So, I mean, I think I've been very very fortunate that in my entire like 15 plus 4 plus 2 years of life, I probably had like less than 10 bad teachers. Like I've probably had more like 20 to 50 good teachers. Like when I say good, like above average in terms of them wanting us to experiment things, learn things, and just nudging us in the right direction, as opposed to just reading something and asking you to like follow a script.
Going back to Shankar's original question from what 5-7 minutes back, why I asked whether it will be different abroad is um, they're particularly masters, right? So people who get into masters, they are a lot more sure of themselves and confident that that's what they want to do. Plus the average age, so it's not like India where you do undergrad at 18 and you do masters at 22, 23. There you most of the folks studying is like 27, 28, 29. Even if you take at Freshworks, people that Body and I know, we know of at least 2 or 3 people within the marketing or in fact product marketing who have actually gone on to study abroad in just the last 6 months. And then I don't think they'll be able to do that in India because it's the professors have a lot more practical experience before coming into teaching. And again, exposure is a huge factor between education in India and abroad. So
Makes
recently, I spoke with professors from our university, right? and things haven't really changed from when I graduated, or for that matter, when any of you graduated. I don't
I think
feel
it's around the
old.
same time. So
I would like to
I don't know
differ
what
and
you are
say
saying.
We are not
the
that old.
conventional
It's okay to be
no,
old.
no. Teaching methods, teachers have changed. I think there are more teachers who are trying new things, but the syllabus and curriculum hasn't. Like
Yes,
they are
fair.
still teaching 8086. They
Yeah,
are still teaching turbo C. They've not gone past that.
See, I'll maybe bring back the crux of this, right? See, there are two things we spoke about, abroad or India, and it's MBA, I would say higher studies, anything versus not doing it. So a lot of people who actually want to move away from, say, the circle they are in, their home country, or want to live abroad, their option becomes limited if work doesn't give them the exposure. So that's one main reason why a lot of people want to study, right? But it need not be what they're really passionate about. All I think people would want is, okay, if this gives me a door to move abroad and get the opportunity that I want, which is very similar to the work that I had before, they are still using this as the gateway. They need not study what's relevant, but it's still
absolutely.
used as a path to go there. I think that's very common and prevalent. But when you think about like why people even think about studying MBA, right? See, there are different aspects I can think of. I think first subset of really like starting people who just think of an MBA because they didn't get a job after doing their undergrad. Right? There's very subset of people who maybe are not qualified enough. They did their undergrad in like college that didn't give them the visibility into the
I
job.
know
So they
I know one very famous founder who did MBA for this very reason.
bec- so there's a society stigma to it where you can't say I am sitting at home, I'm going to try. So they would want to just tell people that they're doing an MBA, right? So a lot of people just do an MBA for that, which like the content or crux of the MBA is not going to help, but that's just one way of being more relevant in the workforce if that can get them closer to a job, right? The second set of people, from my perspective, is that people who want to shift their career trajectory. It's yeah, like we worked in companies where it's easier to move from, say, support to HR, or from marketing to customer success, but this is not common outside. Like this is just the way we are used to. But when you look at majority of the workforce prevalent in India, like you can't switch trajectories like that, so you definitely need an MBA. What do you study in MBA is like lesser of an importance than studying an MBA, because they want to, someone who's a developer might want to do a sales job, but they would just never get an opportunity beyond the smaller subset of companies that are willing to offer them. So there are these aspects that are coming in beyond how influential the MBA course actually is, right? And then of course the benefits of a networking with people, the like lot of founders when you see today, like people who Zomato founder, or like a lot of people who started companies from IIMs and everyone are all like intelligent people who just got together in the same room. Like that opportunity you would get if you go to the best of the best B school. Like if you want to meet someone who's highly intellectual, if you think you are also highly intellectual, I think just going to that room, I think you should do an MBA just to get the opportunity.
There
I
is one
think
large subset of there is one large subset of people, and the reasons for doing MBA that I think you missed. It is marriage as a reason. So a lot of people want to either avoid getting married, so they extend it by 1 to 2 years, depending on their MBA time frame.
Sadly,
And
it's
there are
very
people
true.
who want to be more prestigious and add another degree on their wedding invite. So I would say, like, to be really honest, of the people I know who've gone for MBA, more than 50% fall into this bucket, because again, they may be going for other reasons also, but this is always a reason. This is a very Indian reason also. I don't think MBA and marriage is even connected in any other country.
people do MBAs so that they can put MBA next to their name in their wedding card, wedding invitation card. What I was going to say was, I think one, because we are touching upon MBAs, the rigorousness in terms of like the coursework also somehow enhances how well you're able to think. in a structured way. Some of the people I work with, I feel like uh, they do think in a much more structured way than many others I've worked with, right? And I feel like maybe MBA is a factor. It does help. It also, I think, MBA also forces you to think about the big picture in anything that you're working on than like the details. So I think that's two core things that I've seen in the best MBA folks I work with. So yeah,
You gain a lot of discipline for sure. Like your
yeah,
perception to things and like people who done an MBA will not see 5 days a week, 9 to 5 as like a stressful thing to do because they have been more stressed 2 years
Yeah.
before that. So you tune to a lot of discipline when you do an MBA for
One
sure.
thing I've observed from people coming from an MBA background is I think they're they've been taught or they're cramming a lot of things to do, so they abstract and they're easily able to construct frameworks. So they've seen or done repetitions of certain things, so they're able to easily observe patterns and repeat it later. So like I would say, like for muscle memory, MBA is like gym.
that's a,
What? What's a jib?
and
Gym,
he's
gym.
saying no. I think what you're saying is for pattern matching, MBA is like a gym, not muscle memory. Yeah,
No, no.
like it really
Like,
makes you
you
pattern
build
match.
your muscle memory of pattern matching.
Yeah, that's great. That's right.
So you build your memory muscle.
These are body
Body
Body.
things.
So, have we started expecting folks with MBA for managerial positions, Mr. HR of the group? I'm just gonna say
We'll
we
never
with
say
a
yes or no, right? So, like,
only in
as long as
MBA.
you qualify for the role, if you clear the interview, we will hire you. Like, it will not be a limiting factor, but the the odds are stacked heavily against your favor. Like, a person who comes with a MBA degree likely will have relevant experience in that.
MBA stands for manager.
fair enough. Okay, what is the wording? If you were to sum up your viewpoints from the discussion, let's do both. No, abroad. What is your one sentence summary? Ashwin, move or don't move?
I would say, yeah, I see. I personally chose to move, right? That's the reason I'm here. And the way I see it is, if you get an opportunity, unless you try it, you'll never know how you feel about it. So that's the reason I'm here. You ask me in 2 or 3 more years, I'll tell you if I want to come back home or would just stay here forever. Right now, there's no right or wrong, but that exposure is definitely worth trying and being around. Of course, there are pros and cons. There are some sacrifices you will have to make. You will gain in other aspects for the sacrifices that you've made. So I chose to be here. I chose to move abroad. That's the reason I'm here. So that's my one-liner. Studying, not studying.
Sounded
Again,
like
it's
some
pretty like I didn't
presidential
study.
campaign speech. No, thank you, Mr.
And
Ashwin.
MBA versus non-MBA. I didn't study, right? And the degree that I have is undergrad degree from Sastra. Again, I wanted to do. It's not that I didn't try for it or didn't want it, but just that the career journey I've had so far, I've always enjoyed. Like if there was a time where I felt I want like this is just too slow for me, or I wanted to do more ambitious things, I would have tried something else for sure. But every time I wanted to try something, I've always tried internally and just gotten good opportunities. So that's the reason I didn't go for it. Again, there is no right or wrong. Like my personal take would be, don't try for the content, but try for the exposure and networking and being around people. That would be your biggest takeaway than what the content you learn, because there are other avenues to learn what you would learn in an MBA.
Should I?
Are we
Shankar,
going alphabetical order?
Yeah.
I was just
Okay.
doing screen.
Alphabetical order is you are Vignesh, so you should go later.
Okay. For me, what they said, I mean, it's a decision, and every decision comes with trade-offs. So I always tell people that when you're making a decision like this, list down your priorities. What are the most important things versus the least important things? Does your decision does making that decision satisfy what you're looking for in terms of the most important things? and everything that it doesn't satisfy, uh, can you trade off on them? Are you willing to put up with them? Right. So I think that's what it boils down to, right? So if you feel like your life, if you feel like you'll get exposure to better opportunities by moving, yeah, for sure, right? I think one thing I learned, one thing I was not actively thinking about before this conversation was what Ashwin said. For a lot of people, it does change the financial trajectory, right? So if that matters to a lot of people, it does matter, rightfully so. And I think if that matters, you should take that decision, and maybe you can always come back, right? And it's also a reversible decision. You can always, like I also like what Ashwin said, where you can make a decision, you can trade off, but it's also a reversible decision. If you don't like it, you can still come back, right? So
Regret
it's
minimization.
harder to come back. It's not like an easy switch or anything, but I think it's important to also see it as a reversible decision, and think about other options if something doesn't work. Yeah. Body.
Body.
So for me, it's again like Shankar mentioned, it's a list of trade-offs. So for anyone who wants to migrate versus stay, I would say look at it in a different lens. Like you have two thresholds. There are certain things you want that you may not have access to or you can't do today, and there are certain things that you cannot live with. Right. So there is the extreme positives and the extreme negatives. Like you can be attracted to move because of the extreme positives, but I would say look at the extreme negatives that you'll have to live with, and like what is the worst that you're willing to put up with should be the question that you ask. That should be your deciding factor, right? Because the preparing for the worst is something that a lot of people don't like. While I agree it is a reversible decision, and for a lot of people who are migrating, it is. I mean, they do have the privilege, and they will be able to move back and consciously move back, and maybe forced to move back, but for a lot of people, because they don't think about that worst case scenario, they may end up making financial decisions or mistakes along the way that may make moving back very miserable, right? So account for the worst case possibility, and if you think you can survive that or if you can live with that, go for it. Like that is the base, what do you say, risk elimination that you should do, and everything that you get over and above that is a bonus.
One thing to call out might be that I think as you get older, you are less likely to make changes. So if you're thinking about it, yeah, that's true. It's true, right? Because you've seen so many things, and you stick. For a lot of people, it's hard to like completely upend their lives as you get older. So the choice does become harder as you get older. So if you want to experiment, you might as well experiment when you're younger.
Yeah.
Not when you're as young as Chris Scott, but when you're as young as us.
Oh,
Question
sure.
to the young Chris
Okay,
Scott.
boomer.
What is your plan? Do you want to move out or do you want to stay?
Maybe ask me back in a year.
We'll tell his manager at Freshworks that he said this.
What do you mean? We'll tell. They have the
We
video.
don't have to tell
Anyway,
that person, right? Body is there. So he'll tell them.
anyway, the video is going public. None of you have to go and tell. We briefly made Shankar forget that this is all on record and forever.
It's fine.
Hopefully that was because how interesting it was.
Anything I ever say in front of Body is forever on record. Sorry.
It's fine. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time. Alien, thank you for
Thank
waking
you.
up and choosing to do this as the first thing. And Shankar, thank you for staying up late and choosing to do this as the last thing for the day. Body, this is probably
10
evening
p.m.
for you.
10 p.m. is my bedtime. We have 15 minutes.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, pretty much on time. Hopefully, people find this useful because the reason that we wanted to start off this was I have come to all three of you on different occasions and asked the same questions. And like Body mentioned at the start, a lot of people have come to him. I'm sure as is the case for you too as well. And I'm guessing once we put this out there, people will likely have follow-ups, right? And if we have enough, maybe we should do like a specific Q&A or something. We'll see how people respond to this. And thanks for watching. The idea is we'll get on calls as frequently as it makes sense. Take different themes like this that all of us are thinking and talking about, and we'll also crowdsource theme recommendation. People listening to this, whatever they might enjoy seeing. Once again, thank you so much.
Cheap plug for like, share, surprise.
Yes, people. Please, other than this, I also have a couple of other podcasts. Go like, share,
There's
surprise.
plug for everything now,
Sports,
Chris. What?
Sports Entertainment Weekly. And
Reminds me of
if
those really small kids on Instagram Reels who say like, subscribe, and